Hey, what's up you guys? Bloody Jacob here to bring you my review of the Season 1 finale of Syfy's Van Helsing. And like I said, this week was the season finale of the show. Good and relieving that we already know we're getting a Season 2 next year. But this is episode 13 of Season 1 called It Begins. And overall, I really like this finale episode. I had a couple little issues with it, but nonetheless, I thought it did what I was sort of expecting the finale of Season 1 to do. Definitely delivered in certain areas that I had wanted for sure. And we get a couple of reveals in here, albeit predictable. Something a lot of us were speculating for a while. It's still nonetheless good to see. Let's get right into it. Dmitri, he's holding Vanessa. And, throughout the episode we hear him talking about, like, how important she actually is, how important, like, this day of, capturing her or, having her held actually is. And, it's a greater day than she knows and things like that. And we'll talk more about their conversations in a few minutes. He basically says, she is one of them, she's Van Helsing, and it's good to finally hear that name on the show in this episode. I seen a lot of people complaining that, what does that have to do with Van Helsing? Well, give it some damn time, and, we don't need to reveal everything about the character right away. But we definitely got a good amount of information revealed about it, while still keeping some questions about it for sure. And so I definitely liked all of that, and like I said, we'll talk more about it in a little bit. And something kind of curious about what he said, though, is that, she's almost the last of them. So does that mean there are still Van Helsings out there? Is there other members of the family still alive out there? I don't know. But I'm guessing there's probably some kind of small, hold of them somewhere, I think. That would be my guess. I'm guessing that might be something we see in Season 2, perhaps. Now that we sort of know it's out there. But, yeah. And then as she's being held, the doctor, I forget his name, but, he says vampires do age, of course, very, very slowly, but aging is something they actually do, fear and regularly want to, stop somehow, which is one of their hopes for Vanessa's blood or, the baby that they want to, have Vanessa give birth to, which is pretty weird to, imagine. And the doctor, surprisingly, he does, tell her to wait for a chance, and he loosens one of her restraints. And we also had Mohamad and Sheema reunite, of course, and throughout the episode we sort of find out how divided they actually are, though. Of course, Mohamad, had been working with Dmitri, but it was all to somehow help out Sheema and, to better their situation there and to do it for her as a way, to save her, which is understandable because if, almost any other character probably would have done the same thing if the person they loved or cared about most is in jeopardy like that or was in a situation like that with them. So I feel like you can't bash Mohamad too much, but, it is understandable why Vanessa would be, as mad at him as she is. Vanessa, she almost escapes, thanks to the restraints and such. She kills one of the vampires guarding her. But of course, Dmitri cuts her off, basically clotheslines her, and then she is, of course, put back. We also get the scene of Rebecca dining with Dmitri, and I think it was his sister. We haven't seen very much of her. I think I remember seeing her within the first episode or two. They have a very, Game of Thrones type of relationship, if you know what I mean by that. And you can just sense the division between all three of them, really. Of course, she is more correctly aligned with Dmitri, but with Rebecca and Dmitri sitting on the table, you can just, sense, as she said, how much they're lying to each other and how much she's enjoying watching them, just, telling each other blanks, basically. So I like that scene. Vanessa, she's still held, of course, and she is tempted to feed on the blood. But she doesn't want to give into it at first. Then we had Mohamad. He does visit Vanessa. He does apologize. Says he's sorry, but there's only so much I can really do. You have to a big part for a lot of people is their actions. I feel like Mohamad's going to be spending time in season 2 redeeming himself to Vanessa. But pretty good acting here from Kelly Overton and, Trezzo. And I do like their scenes together, though. I still do like Mohamad quite a bit. I've often compared him to Glenn on The Walking Dead. I still feel like he's like that. And like I said, his situation is desperate, and almost anyone else would have done that for someone they care about, or would have been tempted to at least. So I don't feel like you can say he's like a total, bad guy or anything like that. No. Of course, Vanessa doesn't really accept it at this point, though. Says how he had a chance to sort of go a different path or go a different way about it, and he didn't. He kept going. Yeah, maybe he could have tried to find another way about it. Maybe he could have told them and tried to work out more of a plan with them somehow. I don't know. But again, it was kind of almost an impossible situation, really. Let's see. He does give Vanessa a knife, though, if she does find a way to escape. And she ends up stabbing herself. I wasn't quite sure why she did that at first, but then I realized it was probably to get herself transferred to like a more open area or a different room, perhaps. Or maybe to, intensify her hunger a bit. I don't know. Maybe I missed something, but, I'm guessing it makes sense to get yourself transferred to a different, more open room that's, not quite as condensed, perhaps, or with different defenses or lock mechanisms and such. Let's see, Dmitri, he tells her that, her people, or people like her, have hunted them for centuries. And he actually mentions Abraham, Abraham Van Helsing. I wonder if we're going to see him in some way in season 2, or maybe in another season. Because Abraham Van Helsing is, of course, the Van Helsing. So I'm wondering if, I doubt he's still alive, but I think it'd be almost a waste not to show him at all, maybe in a flashback, about Dmitri and maybe other ancients or something. I like that name drop there. And he talks about how, great of respect and admiration he had for him despite them being on such different sides. So I would like almost like a big flashback about that, really. I think that'd be cool. I'd be eager to see who they'd cast as him, too, and even for a brief appearance like that. And he talks about her mother, how she was this great warrior as well, until she grew more cautious and wary and, had to hide her away. How she ended up giving her life to give Vanessa at least some period of time of peace. We don't hear much about her father, but it's kind of implied that maybe he was a vampire himself. I don't know. Some of the fans and me have been speculating that maybe, there is like a Dracula out there. Maybe there's like a higher power than Dmitri. There are other ancients and such. I'd like to see a form of Dracula on the show, and after seeing this episode, I don't think Dmitri might... after this episode, I don't think Dmitri is maybe the main villain of the series. I think there might be a greater power or, antagonist out there. Who knows? Because I don't see them going 3 to 5 seasons or however long they want to go, and just having Dmitri as the main threat. Because at this point Vanessa's already arguably stronger than him, so they can't have that for a couple more years, But yeah, I did like that information given. And we found out that Rebecca was the one working with Taka, which is something we've all kind of been figuring lately. But I nonetheless sort of liked it. I like that division, sort of that struggle for power and control between Dmitri and Rebecca. I still find Rebecca to be the most compelling antagonist we have right now, and I just really like Laura Manel in the role. She's a very, very cool person. She interacts with fans very well on Twitter, as do a lot of the cast of the show. But I really enjoy her work here. And she promises them I think it was called Fox Island or something like that. But we find out a little bit more about that later. But basically, if Dmitri is killed, she'd have full power. So of course it's a Game of Thrones here. Taka, meanwhile he's setting up to attack the base, and Flesh is still with him. Taka says they're gonna kill everyone, anything in there. That includes Vanessa, because apparently she's just a liability now. I don't see why they wouldn't want to free her if she is still herself, but. Taka's shown he's not a very great person after all. Flesh, he says if he does go in there, he's going to save her no matter what the others think, and so they sort of have a standoff about that. Vanessa, she does, well, wait, I almost missed something. Sheema KOs Mohamad here, and because they disagree about this, Mohamad's just feeling really guilty. Of course, he has a lot of remorse for the way he went about, luring Vanessa there and such. And Sheema, she just doesn't want to give up her life there. She's been spoiled by, the liberties they've given her with the clean room, the food, things like that. And she shows not to be a very genuinely good person really either. She's corrupted very, very much so. And as Mohamad talked about earlier, he didn't expect Sheema to be sort of this far gone into it by the time he got back, and he was too late. Sheema, she hits him with a candlestick, I think it was, and knocks him out. And then we had Vanessa. She actually escapes. She actually overpowers Dmitri, stabs him with some of the surgical scissors or something like that. Dmitri runs off. And then we get this fight scene between Rebecca and Vanessa, which is pretty good, It's something we've all been waiting for. A lot of us fans have been waiting for Rebecca and Vanessa to face off, so I'm glad we got a moment that focused on that. I do have a couple little gripes with the scene, though. And that is sometimes, although I really do like the action on Van Helsing, I feel like sometimes some of the fist fights feel a little bit too choreographed, I think. But still, I nonetheless enjoyed it. I liked how they showed the power that both their strikes have behind them. When they throw each other around and such too. And with this also, it was kind of weird that Rebecca gave Vanessa a good fight, but Dmitri was overpowered. Then he fled. I found that kind of weird. I thought Dmitri, if Rebecca could fight Vanessa like that, Dmitri should have struck her down somehow or something. I don't know. But maybe Dmitri didn't want to stick around. He sort of wanted to lick his wounds, and he was just sort of taken back by her power in the first place, maybe. But Dmitri, though, he's wounded. He retreats, but then he is confronted by Taka. He tells Taka that Fox Island, or the area he was promised by Rebecca, doesn't exist, or more so that it's been overrun by vampires for a while now. And so Rebecca, she doesn't really want to help Taka. She's more so in it for herself, which makes sense. And Brendan comes in. He encourages Taka to kill Dmitri. He has him right there. He might have been able to, but Taka actually kills Brendan, and then he makes this deal with Dmitri. And then we have Rebecca. She's running with Vanessa in pursuit, and when Vanessa gets in the room, she sees her daughter Dylan. She has been turned into a vampire. Of course, Rebecca seems pretty proud of herself about it. And of course, Dylan says hello, mother, and Vanessa, she seems emotional, but not really sure what to say yet. And again, that's a reveal a lot of us did see coming, though. I feel like, although I'm eager to see the emotion of it all and what actually happens after this, it is unfortunate that so many of us sort of predicted this result of it, but should nonetheless make for an interesting dynamic in season 2 and going forward, I think, in general. And then we had probably my favorite reveal of the episode. I wasn't sure if this was going to happen or not, but Axel is still fucking out there, man. A lot of us have been hoping ever since Doc shut him in that he was still alive somehow, or somehow still out there. He emerges from the dark. He's quite a ways outward from the city, more so back where they left him. He's probably been crawling around in there for a while, though, or at least a little while. And he is a vampire, though he is turned, so he was probably bitten by the vampire that was getting to him. But Axel is back. I think Vanessa is probably definitely gonna turn him back into a human at some point in season 2. I'm just happy Axel's still on the show, though. I didn't think they would just have him gone like that. Some shows do kill off their leads like that, though, but I felt like they didn't have. I feel like they didn't have a male lead that was quite on the level of Axel without him. So I didn't feel like they would really get rid of him. I like Mohamad quite a bit, but Axel's sort of that main male lead, and I didn't think he'd just be gone for good. And I liked him quite a bit more as I went along, so I'm happy he's still out there. And like I said, I think Vanessa will definitely turn back into a human at some point in season 2, so I'm looking forward to that. I'm eager to see Axel get into the action, get into the fray a little bit more again, so that should be really cool to see. And yeah, so overall, I really like this finale. Like I said, I did have my little issues with it, but overall, I did enjoy it. It was probably one of the best episodes of the first season. And overall, I really do love Van Helsing, though. I've been really impressed by it all season. I'm eager to see what season 2 brings, and I'm really advising anyone who hasn't watched it, to watch the hell out of it, catch up. Although I don't think anyone who's watching it right now, the second, hasn't watched it, but. I really hope the show gets more viewers in the next season, because I feel like it's going to be sort of at risk if it doesn't. But it is still, again, relieving that we already know we're getting a season 2, so I'm really looking forward to it next year. And yeah, overall, I'd give this episode about an 8.7, 8.8 out of 10 maybe. Like I said, I really like it, minus a couple issues, minus some of the predictability, but I still enjoyed what I saw. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My next video might be on Z Nation, but I also need to catch up on the Vampire Diaries, and there's a couple movies I want to watch. But, I'll see you guys for the next, day or so at least. So, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, like, subscribe. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.